right, here we have the first of many possible Zerg players for Acer. It is Paranoid as the red Zerg in the top right of Daybreak, and down in the bottom left we have Complexity Trimaster as the blue Terran, kicking things off for Complexity.
Okie dokie, so let's see what both these guys are going to offer. Of course, as we like to mention a lot, this is a blind pick for both teams for the starting one. After that, it's all kill format, but both teams will know the map, but they will not know the the rest. I'm sorry, I'm caught off guard now by Nerchio, who's actually just saying, we'll own you guys so hard.
Surprise BM.
From Nerchio?
Not expecting.
No.
I just mean BM in general.
Oh.
Not surprising that it's from Nerchio, but I wasn't expecting to see that pop up right at the beginning of the match. It's kind of funny, and it looks like Complexity is fine with that because nobody replied. They're like, okay.
Complexity respecting that we don't like a lot of observer chat, so Gosu user.
Oh man, so inappropriate. Now, anyway, it looks like Trimaster's not going to be doing anything super sneaky. He's building his barracks inside his base, which is kind of a strange location for that. I guess if a drone were to come in right now, it would probably go straight to the mineral line and maybe miss that barracks a couple times out of 10, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe think that there's some proxy action going on and get him scared or something, but so far that barracks placement's a little interesting. And then, oh my goodness, Nerchio with the BM, and we do have to mention...
Really? Were we shocked?
Yeah, I mean... Kinda. You don't need to tell them. Oh, Ghost User is the official representative of Complexity for the counter BM unit.
Okay.
So I believe that Ghost User and Nerchio are both qualified for IPL 5 as well.
I think so, yeah.
So that could be a potential rematch no matter what happens here in IPTL.
All right. Well, spawning pool coming up for Paranoid right afterwards. We'll see if he goes for the 4-Queen approach that a lot of foreign Zerg players have been taking, or if he decides to do what we see out of Hyun a lot and go up into gas quickly afterwards. His opponent, Trimaster, of course, is going for a 1-Rex gasless fast expand. Nothing's too out of the ordinary for him, and he does have a couple of Marines out just to make sure that this construction stays safe.
Yep, Trimaster getting everything established as per usual for Terrans on Daybreak. There is a just one hatchery actually up for Paranoid, not doing the super fast double expand that we tend to see on Daybreak from Zerg players. There's another drone headed down though. He does have over 300 minerals, so he certainly could work his way down there. He's actually getting up over 400 right now. I'm not sure what he's going to be spending everything on here.
Probably going to be that 4 queens,
yep.
Yeah. Imagine he's going to go down that front here in just a second, and of course need another Overlord here momentarily as he continues to power ahead with drones. So his economy's going to look pretty good. Trimaster, on the other hand, did decide to double gas, and you know, this is a very good map. I think this is one of the absolute best for mech. I'd love to see if Trimaster did that. I remember Trimaster though when he was playing with 11 Gaming when I was still doing stuff out of my mom's basement in St. Louis. And they had a LAN there, and he was extolling the virtues of Tier 1 bio units even then. So.
Yeah, and he's made quite a good name for himself playing with bio pretty well, and I know that one of his more famous victories these days is his victory over Idra at one of the MLGs last year, where Idra slammed his keyboard and the F4 key popped off, and I was actually there to film that for Complexity, and that was a pretty fun time for all of us.
That was your video, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the one that got popular.
And it was also the same event where Naniwa was on a just absolute tear and was with Complexity and beat Nesty and MVP to win that tournament, and then beat Nesty again in MLG's own tournament. So that was just a ridiculous weekend for Complexity, a lot of fun. But yeah, I was definitely there for the I believe it was Raleigh where that occurred.
Yep.
Actually, it was Providence where Naniwa did the winning stuff though, so it was 2 separate events. But either way, Complexity had a lot of good times with them last year, and they're gonna look for a win here to try and get into Premier Division a little bit later on.
Yep.
Acer obviously has a very strong squad. Scarlet being the most recent addition and winning WCS USA Canada and North America with only dropping 1 game a piece in those 2 tournaments.
Yeah.
So it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, Scarlet is a pretty incredible player, honestly, and certainly she's going to have, or she's already starting to accumulate a lot of big game experience on stage and such, but she'll continue to get more and more as we go along. So Trimaster going after Banshee production now with double gas. He has already put down obviously he has the reactor factory, and he's already going to a tech lab on his barracks. I was going to say bypassing Cloak, but decided to get it very, very late.
Yeah, and Nerchio just commentating for us, having his discussion there with Goso User about Paranoid's build. I mean, he has kind of a point. Lots and lots of Hellion Banshee builds are used against Zerg players these days, and that's exactly what Trimaster is doing. So Paranoid is pretty safe back at home with his double Evo Chamber and double Queen sort of blockage. Actually, 3 Queens there to try and take care of things. No. But the Hellions get all the way in, and every time they shoot that, look at that. Whoops, GG, says Nerchio. Lots and lots of drones getting taken out. So even though Paranoid looked prepared for that, still lost 14 workers.
Wow. All right. Well, those were 4 very cost-effective Hellions there. And now, of course, with the 4 gas up, I mean, Paranoid is going to have to, I mean, if he still decides to go after mutas or something like that, he's going to have to delay the amount he gets because he has to pull off of gas and go purely for minerals now just to be able to keep ahead with his production. So Trimaster has already done quite a bit of damage. He's got to be very happy with that.
Yep, and the follow-up, of course, has a chance to do some damage as well. He's got this Banshee coming in that does have Cloak nearly finished. I don't see a Spore Crawler in the mineral line. He's going to fight this Queen one-on-one, and a Banshee will win that fight as long as he just continually shoots. And the Queen knows that. He's going to try and escape over to his friends and get some more help to take out this Banshee, but the Banshee is happy to just plink away at these drones. Cloak finally getting utilized there, and Trimaster has a chance to kill another 5 to 10 drones here.
Yeah, he's doing quite well. There are, in fact, oh wow, the Hellions are actually coming into the natural as well. A lot of damage being done. The Overseer does manage to get there in time, but how many workers have been killed? 21.
Yep, 21 for the investment of about 6 Hellions and a Banshee. Pretty darn good for Trimaster so far. If he's got his follow-up on the way, he actually doesn't have a whole lot sitting on the ground right now, though, so if Paranoid tried to do a Ling run-by or something like that, there's only a handful of Marines and Marauders there to defend against that, but he is investing so much into this Hellion and Banshee harassment to be able to set Paranoid behind as far as he can before the real build sort of kicks in with Tank Marine or even just MMM, but he's in a good position to move toward Tank Marine after this.
And he does see the Infestation Pit, so he knows what his opponent's going after. He picks off 2 more workers as well. It's a total of 23 now. And he's basically tied in workers, but going up to his 3rd orbital command already.
All right, so with another orbital, he'll be able to take a 3rd base. He'll be able to drop mules, make SCVs. In the meantime, the Banshee's still just collecting some kills, trying to clear out that map vision of Paranoid. Armory coming up now for Trimaster. After 1-1 finishes, he'll be able to keep rolling with those bio upgrades, and we'll have access to the vehicle upgrades. Here comes a little pack of Hellions checking out this 3rd base. Nothing really to kill yet. They're going to take way too long to actually just kill this hatchery, so he doesn't just want to sit there with the Hellions. He wants to stay mobile. There is Cloak on the Banshee, but the Overseer is obviously sitting right next to him, so he can run away. Look at that. While Josh wins, he's talking about me. I'm going to win this game.
Clearly not Mr. Niven, who is Trimaster in any way, shape, or form.
No, so there cannot actually be any other Joshes. It's
you've decreed it.
It's pretty much part of my contract.
Gotcha.
So he can be called Trimaster or Mr. Niven. That's actually acceptable as well.
Okay.
But not Josh. So he's talking about me. Ghost users.
Okay.
Clearly talking about
I'll
me
allow
winning.
it.
Okay.
Okay, so Trimaster still rolling through with these Banshees, still 2 on the map. They're starting to get shut down, though, a little bit less effective as he rolls along. Does manage to pick off 1 Infestor and even get a 2nd here before the Banshee dies. The Banshee is going to go down, but man, is he going to get... No, okay, he almost got a 3rd Infestor there, so each of those Banshees picking off 2 Infestors apiece, still worth it.
And maybe you don't know, but we were taught by Mondragon that counters everything with roaches. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, Mondragon roach counter jokes. They're still relevant.
I mean, it was TSL 3 early last year where Mondragon beat Cruncher in a game using countering Void Rays and Phoenixes with pure roach, which just sounds ridiculous, but it works.
I like Cruncher. He's a goofy personality, but I remember when everyone was like, "Oh, he's taking down Idra." Can you believe it? He's beating Idra in everything he plays. Those were fun days. Yeah. Anyway,
they had a nice rivalry.
Yes, they did. Trimaster's cleaned up his 3rd base. He does not have another command center on the way, just powering ahead with his bio infrastructure as he continues to move in with these Hellions, trying to do yet more damage. Pretty good job by Paranoid to actually drive them back towards the Spine Crawler and the Infestors, and he cleans them up pretty cost efficiently, so good job. And, despite the damage that Paranoid has taken at the beginning of this game, he's still on 76 workers. He's going up to 4 bases. He's got a lot of Infestors, and Hive is on the way.
Yeah, I would say that he definitely is stabilizing here with his 4th base on the way. He's got plenty of workers. He's managed to save them from future attacks of all these Hellions, but you know, TriMaster has been slowly massing an army. Paranoid, the more units he can save while still defending, the better he's going to be a little bit later on when these armies start to clash. His creep spread is looking pretty good. He can move pretty far across the map if he continues toward TriMaster's base. Obviously, TriMaster will be able to battle back a little bit, but everything looking more or less back to normal for Paranoid.
Yeah. Oh, nice burrow there, actually, as Paranoid keeps hold of the Xel'Naga Tower at the moment. TriMaster actually has the opposing Xel'Naga Tower, so pretty good map control for TriMaster, and Paranoid does have Overlords in the key places, of course, to make sure that everything's locked down. Full stim out of the units from TriMaster. He does push away the Zerglings, but doesn't kill too many of them.
That's right. Not really an effective trade on either side. Just a little bit of a pushing match there. Oh, and the SCV is hidden quite well in the smoke.
That's awesome.
So the Zerglings run right past him. He manages to stay alive. And I wonder, control of that Xel'Naga Tower must still be for TriMaster, right? Because he was the first one to hold it? Oh, no.
No, it's when there's two units there, neither has control.
Right. Okay. I thought it was whoever got there first come, first serve type of thing, but you're right, it does deactivate. The big drop is entering Paranoid's main right now, and all of his fighting forces are on the southern side of the map, so TriMaster has a few seconds here to actually get some damage done. There is a counterattack here at TriMaster's 3rd, and it's totally undefended as well.
Okay, well, finally TriMaster has some units coming up, but he did lose a few workers there. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get Hive Tech, although that would have been a nice pickup for him. He will take out a lot of Zerglings sitting in the middle, along with a few more drones. He's actually killed 36 now. An additional 13 have been killed in this attack. Not going to be able to get the spawning pool either, and it is going to finish at Drone of Lands.
A little bit more concerted effort there. May have been able to do a lot more damage when he's pressing in killing drones. Killing drones is obviously a nice thing to do. He did not get the spawning pool, though, only get the Hive to half health. Had he just gone in there with a mission, saying, I'm going in, I'm going to kill whatever the most valuable tech is that I can find, I think he had the units and the time able to totally destroy that Hive. So a bit unfortunate there for TriMaster. He's a little bit scattered, and the counterattack drew a little bit of his attention. But now the Ultras are out. The Infestors dropping massive fungals on these bio units, and TriMaster not microing back these Marines and Marauders near the tanks. He's actually going to lose all of these forces.
Yes, he is. Picks up with just a couple of units, but fungal growth catches them as well, and the medevacs are going to fall. So TriMaster actually took a huge loss there. Nerchio is loving it, as Paranoid's moving up to 3-3 upgrades now and takes that engagement soundly.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nerchio and Paranoid just don't even get along, but because he's got this this captive audience, he's just like, Paranoid is the best player in the world.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, it's very possible, but obviously if Nerchio had to play against Paranoid, he would say Paranoid is awful, garbage, etc., and then Nerchio would stomp him into the ground. But you know, hopefully that won't have to happen in IPTL, at least not this season.
Okay, so let's see here. We should teach him he can waypoint his hatcheries. Wow. All right, TriMaster needs to get back with some units to defend this, but at the same time, a big attack is coming up the front from Paranoid. A little bit ill-advised, I think, as he loses one Ultralist, possibly a second, but it does buy time for these Zerglings to roll over to the 3rd base, and they haven't killed that many workers there, so...
Well, that wasn't monstrous. You know, the attack did kind of fall flat, but really, I mean, neither side really benefited a whole lot, so still staying more or less equal. TriMaster probably wants to try and take a 5th base soon, as his Zerg opponent Paranoid is already on 5. The map will be just totally split if he can take that top left base. We do have 7 more Ultralisks in production right now, and the Spire coming up for Paranoid, so he can make the switch to Broodlords if the Ultras aren't working out. TriMaster making a lot of Marauders and tanks to try and deal with these Ultralisks.
Okay, and putting up sensor towers along with missile turrets just to make sure that he's going to remain pretty well defended at any of those points, which is kind of a nice touch. Medevacs, though, jumping around. Oh, I was hoping that was a Spire coming up. That would have been a big gain for TriMaster, but no. Just Spine Crawlers to delay him for a while. It is going to force a reaction out of Paranoid, and we'll see if he gets there in time or if he's going to be able to take out this spawning pool.
Okay, so the great thing about the turret sensor tower combo there is that burrowed infestors won't be able to do big you know, movements through the middle. They'll basically have to go the long way around the top or just come in with the main army. So I really like that positioning of a TriMaster. Covers 3 entire paths of entry to his side of the map.
Nerchio has a really good point, though. Unfortunately, Trimester has not started 3-3, which is a little surprising. He is going to try and drop down here, and he sees the Spire just actually popped up, and he knows exactly when Greater Spire is going to be morphing in as well. So hopefully he'll be able to take advantage of that and learn that timing. The Ultralisk is actually too big to get back there, and the Greater Spire falls.
Interesting. So Trimaster kills the Greater Spire. He's working on some Broodlings right now, but then he turns his attention to the Infestation Pit, and he built the second pool because the first one was only at half health. So yeah, he doesn't want to lose that one that's bleeding right now. Obviously it's regenerating, not actually losing health, but Trimaster could just pop back up there and try to finish it off. He is actually going to try his best to fight one Ultralisk. Obviously he's not microing at all, so he's definitely paying attention elsewhere, but he loads up one Marauder or one Marine against 7 Ultras. I don't know if you can kite that long.
No, I don't think so. Well, there we go. 3-3 upgrades and +3 vehicle weapons. So Trimaster potentially clearing up other bases because he does have more command centers on the way. But really, he's on 82 SCVs, which I think may be a little much at this point with the bank that he has. But Paranoid just kind of bull rushing in with a lot of Ultralisks, and he loses 2 of them right away. A third could fall. It was down to just 4 hit points.
Wow, very nice to actually get away with that, though. He can regenerate slowly. Who likes to donate again? I have a feeling this match is going to go on a while, as neither player really wants to give up their position on their side of the map. Trimaster's just really settled in at that 4th base, and Paranoid, every time he attacks in, just hasn't gotten a whole lot done. He's having to rebuild that Spire even from scratch. Trimaster is building a Ghost Academy now. Could potentially see some nuke action. That's a good way to split the attention of your Zerg opponent and make him, you know, paranoid. I mean, he's already kind of paranoid.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah.
He's literally paranoid.
Yeah, and he might even be more paranoid if nukes start falling all over the map. Trimaster is going to press forward. He's giving up his entrenched position at that 4th base to try and get some real damage done. These Ultralisks are trying to position themselves in front of the Infestors so that Fungals can have a better job there. Looks like Siege Tanks positioned back up on the high ground are going to be supported by a lot of Marines and Marauders, but big Fungals landing. The Ultras trying to get through that choke point are just a little bit too fat, but you can see they've got really low health on some of them, and they're still managing to stay alive decently well.
Nerchio would make a good caster, just screaming beautiful Fungal, apparently. Let's see here, still 8 Ultras remaining. That upgrade disadvantage is actually a pretty big deal right there. He would have at least taken a couple more Ultras with him, and he'd been on relatively even upgrades. This Planetary Fortress is now under fire. Thankfully for him, there's a couple more command centers down, so he will be able to replenish that if it does actually fall. Ooh. The Ultra once again running into a meat grinder, but it's the Infestors that are dealing out a lot of the damage from behind with those Fungals.
Well, he is clearing out the 10 HP Ultralisks for some full HP Ultralisk a little bit later on, so really it's not that big of a deal to lose them in this situation. He's got time to rebuild because Trimaster did just waste most of his army, so it's interesting. Yeah, he's got a lot of bank. Actually, Trimaster has quite a lot to spend to keep production up. He might even want to think about adding on some more production facilities right now.
This drop did actually take out that base in the lower right, so both players are on even bases at the moment. Trimaster trying to take a 5th with another Planetary Fortress, but there's another Burrowed Ling there, and I have to say Paranoid's been doing a very good job with that and making sure that all of the common expansion points are well guarded.
Okay, so both players with units entirely on their side of the map. I think Trimaster managed to sneak in with a medevac full. Oh, wow, he's actually just uncontested coming over here with this full medevac. Ah, the Ultras do pop out, and it looks like he must have at least seen it, but wow, look at all these Ultras. It's a herd.
16!
A herd of Ultras running around here. That's quite a heavy amount. That means they're not going to have a ton of support from other units, which can be tough. You know, if they have to come through a choke point, or if the tank line is well defended on a cliff or something like that, it can be difficult for Ultras to get in and actually do the amount of damage that they're capable of.
Terran is too strong, says Nerchio, and looks like Paranoid is going to try and assault this one more time. The units are splitting up a little bit more, but a good Fungal does catch a lot of those off to the right. There are so many freaking Ultralisks here. Only one of them has died at the moment. The Planetary Fortress is now under fire. It is going to fall very quickly. Takes a couple more Ultralisks with it. Looks like Trimaster going to try and drop to find some equity here.
Yeah, he's definitely actually not going to get any damage done. All the Ultras have been thinned out. That herd is down to only 4, but there are more entering into the natural, and there's way less defense back here. These Ultras should be able to claw their way through quite a lot before Trimaster can deal with it.
All right, well, the tank actually dealing out some pretty good DPS on the high ground, and the Ultras now are finally driven away, but this whole center position was given up. Planetary Fortress is established. That brought Trimaster down to 61 workers, but his opponent's only on 60. However, Trimaster has a massive disadvantage in terms of overall army. 11 Ultralisks, 51 Zerglings, 4 Infestors to just a handful of bio units and a couple of tanks.
Yep, taking out that center expansion and that Planetary Fortress really opens him up for some attacks. I don't think he should be attacking the TF itself. There come the Fungals on the SCVs. There he goes. If he just takes a few swipes of those SCVs, they'd all be destroyed. There you go, Planetary Fortress getting taken out. And Trimaster down to only a slight amount of mining. He's only got 5 minerals, 2 minerals, as he is repairing something down. That's pretty tough. He's got 2,200 gas available. Look at that Paranoid, though, actually under 100 minerals as well, with 3,100 gas available.
All right, so both these players have kind of beaten themselves into submission as Trimaster needs to take this base, and it looks like he is going to go for the one in the middle of the map. He could try and take this one as well, but though it's a much longer running path to try and defend, there are a lot more resources there. So 77 supply to 149. But there is a 43 worker deficit, so in total, Trimaster's back by about 25 supply in overall army. 17
SCVs is not what you want to have at 30 minutes into the game. You know, Trimaster can make up for it a little bit with mules, but not that many. So here we go. Big explosions going down on the Lings from all those siege tanks, and the Ultras are forced through a choke once more. He does actually snag a kill on the way back out, but Paranoid really can't attack through that.
That was a great engagement for Trimaster. I mean, Paranoid just ran up into this meat grinder of siege tanks. All of these tanks have a number of kills. That's actually, yeah, as Inertio pointing out, if he donates like this, he can still lose. That was a little surprising for Paranoid, honestly.
So 20 more Lings in production. That's basically it on the entire production tab. Kind of interesting to see. Trimaster's income with minerals right now is 0. It's been stuck at 37 for quite a while. It's down to only 12 harvesters. He's trying to find a place where he can safely mine from. You know, this gas income's still trickling in, but he cannot spend anything right now with only 69 supply. That's a very dangerous spot to be in. Paranoid can totally outproduce him right now. With the Greater Spire about to finish, Broodlords are coming in soon.
Okay. So double drop making its way in for Trimaster. Looks like it is not detected. It could do some damage. There we go. A couple of Infestors are in position, and hopefully Paranoid will pick up on this quickly. Yeah, the Corruptors are going to deal some damage too. There's the first fungal growth. Looks like he may be able to take an Infestor or so with him. No, actually, the Marine and Marauder just by itself.
And the Spinecrawler will finish off both of those.
Bye-bye.
Base defended. All right, so Paranoid is not in any more danger. Here comes another medevac. He's putting the Lings directly under it to deal with units if they were to drop out one at a time. You can see them kind of, you know, nipping for position, biting each other's in the face to wait for that medevac to land with a Corruptor in the air, though. Medevac really needs to get landed in the next 3 shots here.
And looks like he will finally get a few units down. Actually lands all of his units, so we'll take a couple of Zerglings with him there. All right, well, we have, 3 Vikings being produced at a time now, and looks like Trimaster, of course, not seeing any mining going on here. What is mining actually on this map? Okay, not the 3rd base. Okay. The 4th base and this pocket one is actually almost down, so honestly, Paranoid's almost completely mined out, but then again, so is Trimaster. With this many mules and their stacking abilities, these mineral patches are going to disappear immediately.
Paranoid, with his income, can actually take that top center base that hasn't been claimed yet and potentially make it like a new main. He would just need enough Spinecrawlers and keep his forces there, because really, tech at this point is replaceable. He's got, you know, he can protect the Greater Spire and the Infestation Pit. Those are going to be the important ones. But he can sort of just establish a new front at that top base if he wants to try and take it. Whereas Trimaster really has just relegated himself to the far top left, and if Paranoid does take that base that I mentioned, he can have a very quick attack path to it. We got a lot of Vikings in the air right now, taking out the first Broodlord before he can do anything, and it looks like there's not enough Corruptors and anti-air for Paranoid to push in just yet.
No, but there should be soon. 7 more Corruptors are popping up. Yeah, he's going to have a total of 14. The Ultralisks, these are all pretty healed up Ultralisks. These are full energy Infestors. This is a pretty devastating force that's out on the map. Trimaster's down to just 12 workers, and they're actually all here at the top left-hand corner, where unfortunately a few Zerglings just found that out.
Yep, and he's just totally undefended, so the Lings can get to work right away, chewing them down, and once once Trimester goes to respond to this, that could actually be a cue for Paranoid to move in. It looks like he does want to do just that as those Lings get cleared out. It only took something like 4 Lings to get him into position. The Corruptors are ready to take on the Vikings now, so they're going to have a tougher time getting free kills on Broodlords.
All right, well, Broodlords are actually taking some damage. Paranoid now having to cycle some of the Herd Broodlords to the back. The Infestors drop down a few Infested Terrans just to make sure the Siege Tanks absorb the shots. Although I think he wants the Broodlings to be absorbed more than anything, because that'll actually kill the Siege Tanks themselves. Trimester has controlled this pretty well thus far. He has whittled down the Broodlords to just 4, and his Viking count is continuing to increase. So believe it or not, he is going to push back this army and stabilize for now. Yeah,
unfortunately for Paranoid, he couldn't get the Infestors close enough to the Vikings because the tanks were on the ground, and the Broodlords couldn't get to the tanks because all the Vikings are in the air. So rough situation there for Paranoid trying to attack in. We've got just 5 SCVs. Is that what that set up in the production tab?
It was 2 just a second ago.
So he did repel the attack, but he basically has to use everything that's left for him right now to try and win the game before Paranoid can remax off of the several bases he has, and he is taking that top center base finally.
Okay, so another hatchery coming up. This base is still mining decently, although these are getting pretty low, and Paranoid will need that base here momentarily. Let's check overall units. We have 3 Ultralists, just 1 Broodlord, 14 Corruptors, 9 Infestors, and 80 Lings against 13 Vikings, 2 Medevacs, 4 Siege Tanks, and a lot of bio units.
Yep, Trimaster's bio is actually pretty sizable. He just doesn't really have the ability to leave his base, because then things like this will happen, where you've got 40-ish Lings running in, attacking your only mining base. He doesn't have his whole army there. He is going to get drawn back up to that top left, and Paranoid once again is going to move in, this time with just a bunch of Corruptors and Infestors. The Infestors getting smashed down by the tanks and bio there, but Paranoid still has a lot of Lings up at the top, and I think all those SCVs actually got killed by the Lings.
Yeah. Oh, no, there are 13 SCVs somewhere. Not sure where. Okay, most of them are there.
Okay,
10 of them.
10. Lings still just making their way into the natural, forcing lifts, killing buildings. The bulk of Trimaster's forces are still here at this 4th base. Paranoid just really can't seem to find the right unit composition to try and drop the hammer on Trimaster.
No, I mean, these Zerglings aren't really doing too much. You're getting a good read on what's going on, but they take out a couple of reactors. Great, Trimester can't take advantage of all of those. Nerchio is actually done with it, so he's finally out. And Trimester will clean this up.
Interesting that Nerchio would leave while Paranoid's at an advantage, but can't seem to win still. Either way, we've got a Ultralist coming up for Paranoid. Why Nerchio leave? Ghost was having so much fun chatting with him about Zerg and Bad Manner. 2 Ultras, 10 Lings on the way, maybe bored. That's very possible. I think that's Dark Hydra as the barcode. I'm not sure though. Ghost User, if Observer cannot leave the game, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I don't know. Whatever. Right. Doesn't matter.
Okay, well, Trimaster trying to take this base here. He still does have a ridiculous bank of gas. He's done a nice job starting to replenish some SCVs, but they need to be consistently mining for them to be able to do anything. Trimaster rolling through the middle of the map now, and he is actually going to greet a very large force from Paranoid, although it's not everything, and if he can actually take that out before the Ultralists get involved. No, Paranoid's starting to move out now.
Okay, Paranoid with 5 Ultras here, lots of Lings to support them. Going to be able to take out this Planetary as long as he doesn't lift, and there he goes. But all these SCVs, these very precious SCVs that he has left, are going to be killed. Trimester actually moving in for the first time in a while. He figures he's not going to be able to keep that base alive forever, so he needs to get some damage in now. The Corruptors are getting thinned out by the Viking count. Don't see any Broodlords left, but the Ultras are not going to be able to help against the Vikings. Only Fungal there to be able to fight back with these Corruptors.
All right, and the Vikings are going to disappear. The Siege Tanks have actually taken quite a few kills. They have well over 120 to their name, and it's 75 supply to 166 after all of that. This game may actually never end.
It could never end. I mean, as all these minerals run out, if Paranoid doesn't have any anti-air and Trimaster floats to the corner, that could be a draw. So there will be some kind of ending. We'll see as this game progresses. 32 Lings popping out. 2 more Ultras. Paranoid still just sticking to that very land-based army, and Trimaster sticking to basically anything he can afford, which at the moment is Marauders, Marines, and tanks.
Oh no, and he's got to siege those up here in a second. The Zerglings coming back now to take those down. It looks like there are enough bio units here finally to drive these Zerglings away, but that could have been a disaster a second ago.
I think he still did lose 2 tanks, and we actually have something, I think the production line, it's actually getting destroyed by those same Lings that just could not figure out where to go go or what to do, so they're just, you know, killing whatever they can, whatever's available. Trimaster, again, having to lift his top base. Still no mineral income, and just does not have the force to be able to fight his way back against Paranoid.
All right, well, Zergling's being destroyed, so the production facilities are safe, at least for the time being. Trimaster just trying to produce whatever he can. He needs to mine off of the space, but unfortunately, there's Ultralisk and a lot of infestors there. And think this game started so crazily. I mean, Trimaster did massive damage at the very beginning, but Paranoid was able to stabilize very nicely.
Yep, there's something like 36 workers killed to 10 way earlier on. Now it's 117 workers killed by Paranoid and 62 killed by Trimaster. Nearly 100,000 resources lost with the units still on the map. That could very easily crack that number, that 100,000. So that's pretty intense. We got one Broodlord, the lone Broodlord, trying to do some damage, and actually nearly gets that kill on a Marine. He's going to keep drawing tank fire though, which is good for him.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to try and move up, and that's the cue from Paranoid. He has units coming from around the side as well. Everything's getting surrounded here, and there we go. We are going to pass. 100,000 resources lost. There's GG. Trimaster is out, and Paranoid takes game number 1 for Acer.
All right, Paranoid with a long win. He survived the early game loss of all of those drones and managed to make his way back up to Tier 2, get some Infestors out for some great defense, and then Tier 3 with those Broodlords and Ultralisks to basically continue on and eventually just keep Trimaster pinned on his side of the map. Couldn't let him leave his base ever, so Trimaster just, after getting down to 2 SCVs at one point, just could not really reestablish his mining, and it was a slow, painful suffocation there for Trimaster.
All right, well, that's game number 1 in the bag. Game number 2 is going to see the entrance of Complexity Minigun. So Chad MF and Jones himself making his appearance. Paranoid is, well, off to a good start, although a very slow one.
We'll see in game 2. Let's go to the break right now, and on the other side we'll have Minigun versus Paranoid.